All right, let's talk about mortgages. We're going to open up the financial toolkit and look way beyond that standard 30-year fixed rate loan everyone talks about. We're going to explore some really powerful alternative strategies that could save you a ton of money, help you build equity like crazy, or just make it easier to get into a home in the first place. So let's get into it. So let's just kick things off with the big question, right? The 30-year fixed is sort of the default setting for a reason. It's predictable, it feels safe, but what if it's not actually the best tool for your specific situation? What if there's a much smarter way to structure your loan that fits your life and your goals? That's what we're here to figure out. First up, let's dig into a really foundational idea, and it's this: paying a little bit of money up front to get yourself a lower interest rate for the long haul. And that gets us to a term you're going to hear all the time: discount points, or most people just call them points. So what is a point? It's just 1% of your total loan amount. It's a fee you pay the lender right at closing. And you might be asking, why would I ever do that? Well, you're basically giving the lender a little more profit up front, and in exchange, they give you a better interest rate on the loan.
Okay, so let's put that into perspective. What does 1 point actually look like in cold, hard cash?
It's really that straightforward. If you have a $100,000 loan, 1 point is exactly $1,000. 2 points? $2,000 paid up front. Getting your head around this simple math is absolutely the key to using this tool the right way. Now, this leads us to a really cool strategy called a buy down. It's the exact same idea, paying points up front, but here's the twist. A lot of the time, it's the seller who pays for them. They do it as an incentive to make their house more appealing. They are literally buying down your interest rate for you. And here is where you see the immediate payoff. On the left, that's your standard monthly payment. But over on the right, after the buy down, you get a lower, much more manageable payment. And that difference can be a really big deal, especially in those first few years of owning a home. So a buy down is kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. First, the obvious win. Your monthly payment is lower, which is great for your budget. But here's the second, and honestly the hidden genius of it. The lender often qualifies you for the loan based on that lower initial payment. That can make it way easier to get approved in the first place. All right, let's switch gears and talk about one of the most popular and, yes, sometimes controversial alternatives out there: the adjustable rate mortgage, or ARM. With an ARM, you're essentially trading predictability for flexibility. An ARM is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of one interest rate locked in for 30 years, the rate can change. The lender adjusts it every so often based on what's happening in the market. Now, this means the risk of interest rates going up shifts from the lender to you, but the trade-off is you almost always get a lower rate to start with. To really get how an ARM works, you just need to know these 3 pieces. First, the index. That's the benchmark, like a treasury rate that the loan is tied to. Second is the margin. That's the lender's profit, and it's added on top of the index. That part never changes. And finally, the cap. Think of this as your safety net. It puts a limit on how much and how fast your rate can go up. And it all boils down to this super simple formula. When it's time for your rate to adjust, the lender just looks at the current index, adds their fixed margin, and boom, that's your new interest rate. It's really transparent, but it's also always changing. Okay, but here's the catch, and you really gotta watch out for this. To get you in the door, lenders will often offer an incredibly low initial interest rate. It's called a teaser rate for a reason, because it's just a tease. It's a temporary, introductory offer that is pretty much guaranteed to jump up after that first period is over. And this is what that danger looks like in real numbers. Your payment in year 1 with that sweet teaser rate looks amazing. But when that rate adjusts to where it should have been all along, you could be facing a massive jump in what you owe every month. That's called payment shock, and it is without a doubt the single biggest risk of an ARM. Okay, buckle up. Now we're going to do a quick tour of some other really creative, specialized tools in the mortgage world. Think of this as the lightning round. First up, we've got the bi-weekly mortgage. This is such a simple idea, but it's a really powerful way to pay off your loan faster, and you barely even feel it. So here's how it works. Instead of making 12 monthly payments a year, you make a half payment every 2 weeks. Since there are 52 weeks in a year, that adds up to 26 half payments. And that little trick means you end up making one extra full monthly payment every single year. All of that extra money goes straight to your principal, and you can end up shaving almost a decade off a 30-year loan. It's incredible. Okay, next up, we have a loan that's tailor-made for anyone who's pretty confident their income is going to rise over time. Maybe you're just starting your career. It's called the Growth Equity Mortgage, or a GEM. With a GEM, you start off with a normal payment, but the loan is designed so that your payment goes up by a small, fixed amount each year. But here's the beautiful part. The interest rate itself is fixed. That means every single penny of that yearly increase goes directly to paying down your principal balance. You build equity like you wouldn't believe. So, we've looked at all these different tools. How in the world do you pick the right one? Well, it really all comes down to understanding the trade-offs. Let's pull this all together. This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? There's no such thing as a perfect mortgage. Every single one of these is a tool with its own pros and cons. You want a lower monthly payment? Great, but it's going to cost you more cash up front with points. You want that super low starting rate from an ARM? You got to be willing to accept the risk that your payment could go way up. You want to pay off your loan fast? You either have to make more frequent payments with a biweekly or commit to a payment that grows every year with a GEM. At the end of the day, it really comes down to this one question for you. What do you value more, predictable costs or flexible payments? The best tool depends completely on your finances, how comfortable you are with risk, and what your plans are. Are you staying in this house forever or moving in 5 years? Is your income rock solid or are you expecting it to grow? Answering those questions honestly is the real first step to hacking your mortgage. Thanks so much for joining me.